All right, so who was talking about their emotions? We're emotional people, and somehow our emotions. Somebody was talking about that. And so your emotions dictate. Was that you? Yeah, your emotions dictate a certain thing. Here's the thing. When you say you're in a dark alley and someone pulls out a gun on you, what emotion do you feel?
Scared.
Fear, right? You feel fear. You get on a roller coaster. What emotion do you fear? Do you feel? Fear? Fear, excitement. Right? Right. Physiologically, the chemical in your body from the roller coaster and the gun, are they different? No. It's the same thing. What's different? The interpretation, right? You're safer, which is a factual thing. The interpretation, I'm safe. This is something I chose to do. This is fun. As opposed to, oh shit, I didn't choose this. I don't want to be here. I could die, right? But it's the same literal emotions in your body. And so emotions don't need to dictate your behavior because you can interpret them different ways. And even before the emotion, you can have a frame about the situation that determines the emotion. So the frame, or does everybody know the word frame, by the way? Do you guys know what the word frame means? Does anybody here not know the word frame? Okay, cool. So yeah, so your frame of the situation dictates what the emotions mean. Your interpretation, when you feel the emotion, you go, oh, I got this emotion, that means this, dictate. And only after that does it have an influence on you and your actions. So you have two distinct opportunities to take control of your emotions before you let your emotions control you. And I want you guys to understand that, right? Because a lot of people, especially more and more these days, for whatever reason, like, he made me angry. I was depressed and I couldn't do anything about it, right? Some of these exist, there are clinical things and this and that, but even in those cases, you do have interpretation and decisions about how you address those things you're feeling, okay? So don't be a slave to your feelings, take control of your feelings to the extent you can, all right? And it's something I want to give you for game, but also for everything in life. One of the things my dad taught me as a kid that I thought was extremely, extremely powerful for me, he had me read these books as a kid. It's called You Are What You Think. And you don't need to read the books, but just take that phrase. You are what you think, right? Whatever's happening to you in the world, how you think about that and how you address it is who you're going to be in life. Because you don't have control over the things that happen to you, but you have a lot of control over how you interpret them and what you do with it. So I want to give you guys that as a mentality. Next one, the word should. Try to eliminate the word should from your vocabulary in most cases, okay? The word should causes a lot of unnecessary stress and doesn't get you very far in most cases. In fact, if you look at the times that you get stressed out in your life, it's mostly because you're thinking in terms of the words either should or should not, okay? If you believe the world is being unfair to you, you get stressed out, you become a victim. If instead of saying, this shouldn't have happened to me, like let's say, let's say you get in, let's say you get fired from your job. Like, that's unfair, this shouldn't have happened to me. You say, in reality, this should have happened to me because either I was slacking at my job or I had a bad boss and I stayed in the situation instead of going and looking for a better job. Or you know what, I decided to get a job instead of being an entrepreneur. There are all these decisions that I made that have led me here. That doesn't make me a bad person. I'll address it from where it's at. But this should have happened in reality. In reality, I set up circumstances where this would happen. And I'm going to accept that. The world is as it is. Now what's the next right action from here? Instead of wallowing in, oh, I'm a victim, oh, woe is me, oh, this shouldn't have happened. That make sense? Right? Or let's say in game. Let's say you haven't gone out in a while. Let's say you used to be pretty good, used to be kind of sharp, you haven't gone out in a month. And you go out and you get some blowouts, and you're like, I should be better. I should be better than this. And you're getting stressed about it, you're pissed off, you're like, I'm a loser, I should be better. In reality, you shouldn't, because you haven't done an approach in a month, right? Had you done those approaches over the month, then yes, you would have earned being better in this moment. But right now, you're exactly where you're supposed to be, right? And that's fine. It's okay that you're where you're supposed to be. You can now take the necessary steps to get to where you were and beyond, right? The other thing that goes along with this idea of should is this focus on a lot of times either the future or the past, which don't exist, right? A lot of should comes down to I used to be good then, and so I feel like I'm entitled to be that good now, right? Or I'd like to be this good in the future, and so I'm in a hurry to get there now. Right? The only place you can live in life is in the moment you're in. So try to truly accept reality. And these two mentalities of being in the present rather than the past or the future, and this mentality of eliminating the words should and shouldn't, what it's really all about is saying the world is as it is. I can't change it. I can change it in the future. I can make the future world better, and I will. But the world as it is right now is what it is. The first step is accepting that reality. Right? And that's going to help make you a much more effective person in life. It's also going to get rid of most of your stress in life if you can truly accept the reality of the world as it is, as your first step. If I had a good interaction, then suddenly I felt like, oh, I'm not, like I feel detached or out of it in some way, or I feel like it's not as smooth or something like that, I would probably just, number one, take a breath and relax. Number two, I would just like remind myself that it's going really well. And the thing about game in a way is when things are going well, almost everything works. When things are going badly, almost nothing works, right? So if you're in a good interaction and you're suddenly like, I don't feel like I have my mojo now, you can also just be like, I don't need my mojo now, right? Like if you're doing a good job, if you're just an average typical guy for a while, you're not gonna lose it, right? You don't have to be on all the time. You don't have to be like absolutely perfect. And the quest to try and be perfect really does get in the way of excellence a lot of times. Right? If you're micromanaging every single thing you're saying and you think that everything has to be clever, that's automatically putting you in a needy frame of mind. It's putting you in a mentality that like the girl's higher value than you, that kind of stuff, right? Or a lot of guys that get this mentality, oh, I got to get warmed up and get in state before I can go talk to that girl. It's kind of ironic because that girl's sitting over there not getting in state before she talks to you, right? She doesn't need to be in state to talk to you. Once you're already in an interaction that's going well, you're no longer in a situation where you have to impress her more than she has to impress you. So having just a more kind of realistic and high value way of looking at the overall interaction will take a lot of pressure off of that. And in taking the pressure off that, it will allow you to at least, maybe not be perfect, but to at least manage the situation in a competent way until you do theoretically get back into flow or until you are feeling better or whatever. Does that make sense? And you cannot try and force it. Like trying to force state, like if you're checking on you guys know what state is, like being in state, familiar with this idea? One of the worst things you can do regarding being in state is to constantly monitor whether you're in state. If you're like, am I in state now? Let me do this thing to try and get in state. Am I in state now? Absolutely awful, right? So it's kind of funny. You should structure your practice time in such a way that you're doing things that get you in state. You should structure it in the way you're doing things that get you in the flow, but without monitoring or checking whether you're there. You do them because they're the right thing to do without worrying about whether it gets you there. And when you do get there, enjoy it, but don't think about it. Because as soon as you start monitoring it, like it's like an involuntary function, right? Can you sneeze on command right now? No, you can't, right? But you've been sneezing since you're a child. Your body knows how to sneeze, but you don't logically, consciously know how to sneeze, right? Or if I told you, like for the rest of the seminar, you have to blink consciously only, right? No unconscious blinking going on. How much would that fuck you up, right? The point is there are some things that are subconscious manifestations. They're not things you directly control, and state is one of those things. Being in that flowy headspace, it's controllable because you can put yourself in the circumstances it's likely to happen, but you can't specifically monitor it happening.